All right, so we've got Peter Brooks here with his Mako. Can you tell us a little bit about your...
It's not a makeover.
It's
Mako,
not?
no, it's a replica 1963 Grand Sport.
Grand Sport.
Right?
Okay.
They only ever made 2 Roadsters. This is a replica of one of them.
Okay.
And it's not a true replica because the original ones had round headlights. But the bloke who made this car made 155 bodies, of which 5 only had the rectangular headlight. And a lot of people actually prefer that because it makes it look nice and sharp on the front. Nice chiseled nose. Yeah, so
Can you take us around your car?
the body was built in the late 70s by Jeff Leach. So it's a Jeff Leach build, and he actually still builds bodies today.
In the US?
Mainly coupes, yep. So the body's actually built in the late 70s, and the body was sold to a bloke, Bob Steinbecker. In, I think, Michigan or Wisconsin, that's right. And he put it on a 66 Chev convertible chassis, and he had it for a number of years. He swapped it for a 66 Corvette, and the bloke swapped the motors out of the 2 cars. So the 383 Stroker went in this one. Unfortunately, when I was racing at Wakefield, the bloke who built the motor didn't turn the tabs up on the 3 bolts on the cam gear. So the cam gear came off and the crank goes round and the valve train stops. So she's had an engine build, gearbox build, there was no oil in the diff. So a bit of money spent on it. So I've had a little bit of running around Eastern Creek. I've taken a few passengers down at 180 k's down the straight.
Nice.
Wakefield, Winton, and Phillip Island was the buzz out of all of them.
So are they Halbrand rims, are they?
Halbrand copies.
Halbrand copies,
Yeah.
okay. And is the side exhaust active?
Yes, yes, very active.
Yeah, sure. So you got a few calf burns there, have you?
My mechanic had a huge one, but that's why I put those truck exhaust, what's names on it?
The heat
leg
shields.
savers.
Leg savers. And what have you done to it since you've had it?
Rebuilt the motor, gearbox, diff, rear spring. That's pretty well much it for, I've got to start on the bodywork soon.
So how long have you had the car for?
3.5 years now. It was in storage. Matter of fact, I got a phone call. It was rather a bit of a story. We used to have our club meetings at Auburn, and the restaurant there was so happy that it was getting heaps of people ordering food. The bloke went out and bought a heap of Matchbox cars. I was the last person to place my order of food, and I got the last car, and it happened to be this little silver thing. And I went up and said, "What the hell's this?" And the bloke said, "That's a very rare car, that's a Grand Sport." 5 months later I get a phone call out of the blue and a bloke says, "Do you know anyone who wants to buy a Grand Sport?" So I was down there and bought it then and there on the spot. Went down a week later to pick it up, and it was just parked out on the street.
Yeah, right, okay.
Put it up on the car trailer, and that's it.
Took it home.
So,
And so this is yours next to it as well?
yeah, my 61.
Can we have a look at that?
Yep, and my 65's down the hill a bit, and my black C6 is over there, and I've got 6 more at home.
6 more at home?
Yeah.
Crikey. So this is 61, you said?
Yep, I haven't started the restoration work on this yet.
So this is all original, or it's had an earlier restoration?
No, not an early restoration. It's just had some minor things done. Once again, I changed. All these cars had 411 diffs, so I've changed them to 336s. That's the original motor. The only thing, I think the guy that owned it originally, he did the back buckets in trimmed them, but he put a new windscreen in it. But as you can see, they never fitted it all properly, so the whole thing's got to be pulled apart and redone properly.
Yeah, right. So it's got the old Kragers on.
Yep, Kragers, the Chevy Drops, which was I think the 60. I'm not sure if it was the 60 or the 61 with the first, where they came out with the Chevy Drops as standard.
So this on the boot here, this circle, is that why on the later cars that was the anniversary model?
No, this is your C1, and they all had different badging to come through.
Right.
This later model C1, this is a 61. They stopped in 62, but this has actually got the back end of a C2. If you look down there, my red one's down there anyway. Yep. So you'll find the early 62s
we can go down and have a look at
Yeah,
your.
no, it's
We'll go
down
down and
there,
have a
yeah.
look at your red one if you like.
Yep. So they brought the C2 into the. That's where they changed the C1 into a C2, like where the generation changed. So this is my 65, the red one down here.
Yep, right.
So you can see it's got the bobtail back,
Yep.
but no boot.
Right. Oh, okay. Yep,
Right?
yep.
And you'll find that the petrol tank in the C1 is underneath here,
Yeah.
which is what gave you a boot.
Right.
In the C2s, they put the fuel tank behind the differential,
Okay.
and hence you get a bit of boot space.
And that's your fuel cap there,
That's
is
the
it?
fuel cap, yep.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
But in the C1, it's on the side. And this is an early C1. This is not mine. This is Hollywood's car.
This
but
one?
that's the difference. Yes, you can see the
Oh,
back
yes,
of the car
okay.
difference. So most of the early C1s have that sort of shape,
Yeah.
and then you get the real early C1s. They've got slightly different again.
And how long you had this car for?
This I think for nearly 5 years. I think.
Okay. So you club there. So what's your club called?
Well, I was with New South Wales Corvettes, but I've since resigned from them. Quite
Okay.
happy with a few things happening, so I'm with the Port Macquarie Club.
Oh, Port Macquarie
And
Club. Yeah.
I'm more than likely going to start my own club up.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So we got some pretty big clubs in Brisbane. A couple of big Corvette clubs there
Yep.
going in Brisbane. So.
Corvettes Down Under and Queensland Corvettes.
Yeah, they all seem to have their own little shows. They don't tag along to many others.
Well, that's where the political side of it all comes in, and I call that's crap.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit what's happening in our club, I suppose, or the club that I was in. And if I do start up a club, I want to try and pick a name that's suitable.
Yeah, yeah.
But it might be as simple as a H-plate club for enthusiasts. You know,
Sure,
like, in
sure.
other words, there is no political. I don't want to say
Yeah, yeah,
there's
yeah.
no BS in a club, because people is where's BS starts.
Yeah,
A club's
yeah.
just an entity. If it's full of enthusiasts,
That's
all
great.
the BS goes.
Yeah,
As soon as it turns
yeah.
political, you get the BS. So
That's what makes it hard.
that's right.
So how come we have two sets of window winders here?
Because you have a quarter window.
Oh, okay. So
Right.
that opens the
Yep.
quarter window.
So in the C3s,
Yeah.
which was after the C2s, so the C2 finished in 67. The C2, as the C3s had no quarter window.
Right. Okay. Okay.
That's the poor man's air conditioning.
Yeah.
Just wind
Okay.
them round and away you go.
Look, we were talking about it this morning. That you must have been freezing in
Yeah,
there.
would have been cold with the tops down.
Well, I don't even have a top on mine.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like,
So,
we stopped over at Timber overnight, and as we were loading up the car, it was freezing then.
yeah.
So I can only imagine what it was like coming along that highway.
Yeah, so if you look at your C1s, they didn't have quarter windows. Your C2s had a quarter window.
Okay. Yeah, I can
And
see
then
that.
when they went
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
C3, they dropped the quarter window again.
Yeah. Sure. Okay.
But the quarter window, just like your early model holders, all the rest of it, when it's hot, you wind the window out and you just direct the air straight on out.
Yeah, it's nice.
It was great.
Pete, thanks very much for chatting to us about your cars today. Loved it. So I'm a little bit more knowledgeable about Corvettes from this
There's a
moment
lot
forward.
more to learn, I'll tell you.
Oh yeah, there is.
All right. Thank you very much, Pete.
You're welcome.